We shower together, taking turns scrubbing each other. The hot water really brings life back into my limbs, and those worrying tingles have faded to the point where I'm barely noticing them now. Amicus gently rubs at my crusted skin, and we're both surprised to see it come away, exposing new, unblemished skin beneath. Incredible! I never knew humans healed at such a rate. Yeah. I don't know if that's really the case, and my mind continues to wander back to those vague, hard to remember dreams I was having. Meanwhile, Amicus leans back against the wall as I rub soap into his front, smiling gently as I lather up his chest. I can tell he's still fairly drunk, but that doesn't stop his cock from becoming fully erect between us, which I just pretend not to notice. His eyes widen as if he suddenly realizes something. Wait, did anyone else notice you? I pause, both my hands cupping his sizable pecs. Yeah, actually. Alex was in the garden and I talked to him. Just Alex? Yeah. Amicus seems to relax a bit. What did he say? Just seemed really surprised. Unsurprising? But he was acting a little weird. Amicus shrugs. He keeps things to himself for the most part. I'd be worried if you ran into Kato, or Cassius especially. I need to think of a way to explain this to them. This simian guise is becoming harder to keep up. I'm about to mention more about Alex's demeanor, but that's when Amicus just starts hugging me again, his dick hot and firm, crushing between us as he does. I don't care, though, and Amicus doesn't seem to either. I don't understand any of this right now, but as long as it's real, I don't care. It feels so good like this, his wet fur slicked down tightly to his thick body, which presses against me perfectly. Amicus finally shuts off the water and we're blasted with hot air. I'm dried in less than a minute and I stumble out to try and fix my poofy hair in the mirror while Amicus stands in the shower stall for a little while longer. After another few minutes, I watch him step out and come up behind me to nuzzle my ears, embracing me once again. He really can't keep his paws off me, but I completely understand why. He starts nudging me out into the bedroom before turning me around to face him, lowering his face to mine, and I finally realize where this is going. It feels so sudden, especially after everything that's happened. I think we could use more time to adjust, but I kiss back anyway. We've kissed a few times before, but only with our lips. Now his tongue presses against my mouth, and I only hesitate for a moment before letting it in, his thinner, longer tongue caressing mine with a surprising nimble strength. I thought it would be kind of hard to make out with the way his muzzle is shaped, but Amicus makes it happen, his lips clamping around my mouth as he kisses deeper. I'm amazed at how bold he's being, and I wonder if maybe it's because he's still pretty inebriated. He cradles my head gently, walking me backwards slowly, his cock poking against my groin and thighs occasionally until I come against the bed. Gently, he lowers me down to rest on my back, both paws coming to press on either side of my shoulders while he looms over me, grinning before he pauses. Is this okay? I think. I mean, are you okay? We can wait until tomorrow when you're less drunk. He grins again. I've been wanting to do this for so long, to show you how much I love you. Amicus leans down, nuzzling my neck. I thought I'd missed that chance. I can't tell you how dark these past 3 days have been for me. I ran out of tears yesterday. Amicus looks away for a moment. I'm not going to miss that chance now. I reach up and hold his head steady again before I lean up to kiss him. This may be alcohol-fueled. It may be sudden. But after everything that's happened, after what Amicus has been through, I want us to be able to do this before anything else happens. He huffs loudly through his nose, the burst of hot air tickling my face as he falls to the bed, rolling to the side to pull me up on top of him. His massive, soft body cushions me like it always does, rising and falling with his quickening breaths, his kissing becoming more and more aggressive as he lets out little growls and snarls. All the reservations I had about having sex with an alien wolf fall away at that moment. After everything that's happened, and especially after almost dying, I just don't care anymore. We grind against each other, both of us hard now as we just explore the other's body. His giant paws sliding up and down my sides while I do the same to him. Eventually I sit up, straddling his waist, looking down at him, just sort of taking him in. Again, he has that silly grin on his face, his paws on my thighs, kneading at the skin and muscle. You're beautiful. That makes me laugh. Beautiful? Well, you're adorable. Amicus raises an eyebrow. I'm not sure that's the correct descriptor for the next Emperor of Adastra. I lean forward and aggressively rub at his belly, his weak spot, immediately neutralizing his snark as his paws flop back above his head, eyes almost rolling with pleasure before he squeezes them shut. He writhes and arches around my hands, leaning into the rub as I slide my hands up to his chest, then all the way down to his lower stomach. When that happens, I feel his dick jump against my rear, making me realize how hard I'm getting him. I'm getting the same way as I make the strong, thick body below me undulate with pleasure. His head rolls from side to side, tongue flopping back and forth, and when I giggle at him, that seems to finally bring him out of his trance. He growls and grips my arms. That is cheating. With that, he rolls me over, easily reversing our positions as he mounts me, pinning my hands above my head with one paw. With his other, he tries to rub at my stomach, which makes me laugh and squirm until he finally lets off. That doesn't work on primates. It seemed like it worked well to me. He lets go of my hands and leans down to nuzzle at my face, his cold nose exploring my chin, cheeks, and forehead. He then starts to adjust his positioning before he suddenly stops, looking up at me. His ears lower and I can tell that he's embarrassed. What? Do you humans, for males, do you go through the rear? Oh. I think about that. That would be the expected route, but looking at Amicus's length. The wolf follows my gaze and looks even more embarrassed. We don't have to. I don't want to hurt you, of course. I prop myself up with my elbows, looking between the two of us. Yeah. Maybe some other time. You're kinda thick. Amicus smirks. Thank you. He starts adjusting himself again, squatting as he sort of waddles up so that our dicks are parallel to each other. Maybe this? He slowly lowers himself until we make contact. We're gonna have to take another shower. Even though I'm a bit out of breath, I'm kind of amused at how much Amicus is gasping, sounding like he just ran a marathon. He really put everything into that. You. I hold his head against mine, turning to kiss him on the cheek. Me? You are incredible. Thanks. You're really something too. Good something? A very good something. We lay there quietly for a moment, Amicus propping himself up a bit on his knees and elbows so his entire weight doesn't rest on top of me. How are your legs? Burning. Probably the most intense exercise my thighs have ever been through, but it was worth it. Again, we lay there quietly as Amicus just sort of strokes my hair. I'm still terrified that this is a dream. I hug him more tightly to my body, almost forcing him to fall on top of me. I'm here, and I'll be here in the morning when you wake up. You'd better be. Otherwise, I'll never forgive you. His speech slurs a bit as he whispers into my ear. I look at him. So, exactly how drunk are you? The wolf shrugs, slowly rolling off of me, cold air hitting the fluids on my stomach. I'm fairly sober now. Shall we wash up? He reaches out a paw and I take it, slightly surprised as he pulls me up to be carried in his arms, like I'm his new bride. We go to the shower and wash up again, even more slowly than we did the first time. When we come back to the bed, Amicus continues to dote over me, hardly ever letting me go at any point. I can tell that he is legitimately worried that this isn't real, and I feel the same way. After everything that's happened, this doesn't seem possible. Eventually, I lay in the bed next to him, and he spoons me tightly against his body. He's extremely warm, but with no blankets and the cold air drifting down on top of us. It's perfect. Pretty soon, I'm drifting off to sleep, listening to the wolf's soft snores in my ear. Thankfully, I don't dream. Get up! I jump at the same time I feel Amicus jolt against me. We both struggle to sit up while pulling the covers up around us. Out of the bed! The jarring appearance of Kato has me staring at him in surprise, unsure of what to do. Amicus immediately moves, though, pulling me off the bed with him, standing slightly in front of me as he hands me the blanket to cover myself up. We both stare at Kato, the old wolf actually shaking with fury. Make yourself decent, Amicus. Amicus hurriedly snatches up underwear from the dresser, giving me one of my own as well. As I'm struggling to tie mine on, I notice Cassius standing in the doorway, something shiny and flashing with lights in his paw. He doesn't have the usual sour look on his face, though. Instead, he looks almost scared. Kato lets us stand in silence for a moment before turning his head toward the door. Felix, enter! I hear shuffling around out in the hallway, and Cassius moves to the side to allow a neatly robed wolf to enter. He looks about as old as Kato, though nowhere near as big. He moves timidly, looking about with his ears down. Yes, Your Imperial Majesty. Is that the alien you treated for avian pox? Kato jerks his head at me, keeping his eyes on Felix. Felix turns to look at me, and I can tell that he's trying to think of the right thing to say. Finally, he just gulps and nods his head. Yes, I treated him 3 nights ago for avian pox. And his species had no profile? No, I could only tell that he was a primate. How is he conscious? Come, escort Felix to the dungeons. Yes, Kato. What? Why? Why to the dungeons? Your Majesty! Felix looks imploringly at Kato before the probes enter. Proceed to the hall or risk being shot, Felix. Please, what is happening? Even while he speaks, Felix backs away out of the room, Kato completely ignoring him. We all listen to the doctor's stumbling steps out into the echoing hall, the wolf making an attempt to ask Cassius what's happening before things fall silent again. Cassius, come in and close the door. Cassius, looking even more scared now, steps inside and allows the doors to close. Kato stares at the two of us. At this point, Amicus has one paw on my arm, keeping me firmly halfway behind his back. I'm still able to look around his shoulder at the furious acting Emperor. Slowly, I'm starting to realize what might be happening right now, and Kato's next words confirm it. Amicus, did you make first contact? Amicus is silent for a beat, but responds in a strong, confident voice. No, of course not. What in the world are you talking about, Kato? Kato stares, jaw clenched, then screams at us at a volume I didn't think he was capable of. Do not play games with me, Amicus! To his credit, Amicus only jumps a little bit, his grip still firmly on my arm. The silence that follows rings in my ears as Kato seems to work to calm himself down. When he speaks again, his voice is barely above a whisper. He is unprofiled. All children, abandoned or not, are profiled. He is not a simian. So what is he? Amicus is frozen, and I feel my stomach drop like I'm going to piss myself. I see Kato working his jaw. And is it true he's your lover? Lover? How would he know anything about that? Amicus doesn't answer this time, and that seems to be enough for Kato. Fine, do not answer. We will take the correct precautions. Come! Yes, Kato. Terminate Marco. No! Amicus simultaneously throws himself in front of me while reaching back and hugging me to him with both paws, backing me against the wall. Drones begin to enter the bedroom, but Kato barks out another order. Pause last directive. Pausing last directive. My view is obscured now, but I can hear Amicus's heavy breathing, his heart hammering so hard that I can feel it through his back. Once again, Kato allows the silence to stretch out before speaking. Then tell us the truth, Amicus. You must not harm him! Otherwise I will give you nothing, and I'll have you thrown in the dungeon when I become emperor. More silence. I wince, wondering how that could have possibly been the right thing to say. Then I hear a low growling sound, one I'm sure is coming from Kato. How dare you? You think you'll become emperor after this? In fact... I hear quick movement, and the next thing I know, Amicus is wrenched from in front of me. I watch as he slides across the floor before Kato pounces on him, pinning him there. Cassius, grab the alien. Set the Nervo to lethal. No! Please! I'm frozen, but I manage to look over at Cassius, who seems just as frozen as I am, holding up the Nervo in his trembling paws. Move, you idiot! Cassius jumps and hurries over to me. I start to pull away, but he grabs me up in an awkward hold, setting the Nervo against my neck. No! Amicus struggles double as Kato is bucked around like he's on a mechanical bull. Cease struggling, Amicus. He will not be harmed if you do as I say. Amicus seems to calm down a bit at that, panting wetly against the floor as he looks straight at me, face full of desperation. You've proven yourself to be an incompetent fool. Even more so than I'd originally thought. You've endangered our entire empire. For this, you will not become emperor. Rules be damned. It's a wonder how you thought you'd get away with this. It can only be a miracle that the monitors have not found out, and they surely would if you become emperor with that thing. Kato stands and wrenches Amicus to his feet, twisting the other wolf's paws behind his back hard enough that Amicus lets out a bark of pain. The third trial begins today. You will lose, and Cassius will become emperor. Kato begins to push Amicus to the doorway. Do as I say, and I will let the alien live. Otherwise, we can do all of this in the most unpleasant way possible. Understand? Amicus is quiet until Kato shakes him by his pinned arms. Ah! Yes! Good. Now to the amphitheater. We will do this quickly. Do not make any stupid moves, otherwise I will let the drones escort you instead. Kato presses Amicus toward the door. I see Amicus glance back at me, the look on his face one of utter helplessness. They're out the door by the time Cassius realizes he's supposed to be following. He jumps before awkwardly pushing me after them. It's already sunset when we get to the amphitheater. We must have slept for most of the day. Amicus and Kato are already standing in the center of the amphitheater as Cassius struggles to move me down the steps. Sit him down, Cassius, and get down here. Shakily, Cassius plants me down on one of the stone steps before suddenly undressing. That's when I notice that he's tucked the Nervo into his waistband. Possibly because of the frantic nature of the whole situation, Cassius seems to have forgotten it, and I watch it fall into his clothing as he drops it from his waist. He then stumbles his way down to the center. Amicus, meanwhile, stands stiffly next to Kato, his paws clenched, and I feel my heart sink as I see the look on his face. He has no idea what to do. Several camera drones had followed us to the amphitheater, their lights glowing an ominous red. For several moments, Kato watches them arrange themselves around the small theater, their lenses flashing in the fading light. Kato? What, Cassius?
There was no trial scheduled for today. How will this be broadcast anywhere?
This will not be live. I'll think of a reason to tell the people later. We only need a single clip of you being victorious. They will never believe this. Though Amicus is putting on a brave face, I can hear his voice shaking. Pugnu is a combination of skill and luck. And it's not always the strongest that wins. We will manage. And how? Kato suddenly whirls on Amicus, throwing a punch so hard into his jaw that the other wolf spins almost 360 degrees before collapsing on the hard floor of the amphitheater. I'm standing up without even remembering doing so, heart hammering in my throat as I look down at Amicus. He doesn't move. Meanwhile, Kato shakes his paw lightly, like it only stung a little bit. Cassius, on the other hand, is clasping both his ears in his paws, staring down at his brother in a mix of shock and horror.
Kato! What are you doing?
Making it look more authentic is all. Amicus stirs on the ground, groaning and pushing himself up. I see dark spots forming under his face, blood dripping from his nose. A camera drone drifts down slowly, filming Amicus as he spits blood. I realize then that I have to do something. I've been told to sit on the sidelines for far too long. And I'm not entirely convinced that I'm going to be okay after this. I'm a risk to the entire empire. Why would Kato let me live after I'm done being useful? I have to do something. So I quietly sit back down and lean over to reach into Cassius's pile of clothes, quickly finding the Nervo and pulling it out. And then I stand back up again and take a step downward, and no one seems to notice. Come on, Amicus, get up. You need to grapple with Cass.
Why didn't we just use makeup instead?
There is no time. Kato finally bends down to grab Amicus under the arms and heave him up to his feet, the big wolf left to stumble unsteadily, blood running down his chin. Cassius, get Amicus in an ankle lock and drop him. That should be enough. They set up their scene, even though Amicus seems almost completely out of it. All of them are distracted, and I realize that this might be my only chance. Slowly, I take one step at a time, down toward the center of the amphitheater. Meanwhile, Cassius is struggling to pick up Amicus's leg, almost losing his own balance as he does. After that, Kato tells Amicus to fall back, which the wolf does, slowly. Cassius pins him on the ground after that, and I don't think it looks convincing at all. But that doesn't really matter now, as I'm only a few steps from the ground floor. Now, stand and raise your paws in victory, Cass. Look proud. At this moment, things start to move in slow motion. Amicus is flat on his back, but he's looking right at me. There's a questioning look in his eyes, then a pleading one, as if urging me to step back. I don't. Instead, I take the final step down onto the floor of the amphitheater, just behind Cassius, moving towards Kato. But the white wolf continues to celebrate his pretend victory, and he turns with raised paws to face me. I see the sudden recognition on his face. I run out of options and jam the Nervo right into his chest. Instantly, Cass is shot backward several feet to crumple next to Amicus, shivering and convulsing. Before I can even turn to Kato, though, the old wolf is on me, grabbing the Nervo out of my hands and pulling me close by the front of my robes, my teeth clacking together with how fast he does it. He's looking at the Nervo rather than me, though. Damn it! Thank the gods the idiot didn't have it set on lethal. Kato fiddles with the device, and I realize he's about to use it on me. I struggle, kicking at the massive wolf, but he's strong, stronger than even Amicus. But just as he flips the device around, to the two metal prongs pointed at my face, I see a paw come over the top of Kato's head. Amicus grips into the metal grating of Kato's face mask, fingers locking into the gaps before he pulls. Kato screams, and I hear a horrible mix of crunching, tearing, and electronic hiss as I see red spurt from the old wolf's face for just a moment before he goes down. Amicus stares at me with wild eyes as he tries to keep Kato pinned. Marco, run! Run to Neferu! Run! I stare at Amicus numbly for a moment in which I want to do so much, but can't, then turn and start to run. I run as fast as I can, disappearing behind the trees and bushes, just as I hear Kato yelling for Calm to execute me. Hearing that, my whole body numbs up. I can barely feel my feet hitting the ground, pumping my arms as I tear through the garden. I don't even bother with the paths, instead crashing through the foliage and bushes, scratching up the skin on my arms and legs as I trample over something covered in thorns. I don't even care as I run straight through a 10-foot wide spider web, the massive spider in the middle hitting my chest then falling and disappearing under my feet. The sound of Kato and Amicus struggling behind me has long since faded. Now all there is my heavy breathing and the snapping and crashing of the plants around me. I wonder if maybe I should stop making noise and try to hide instead, but I worry that Calm will know exactly where I'm at. I know they're following me right now, and ominously, I can't hear a damn thing. I can't see them either. Just the flashes of branches and greenery around me. When I finally make it to the main path to the palace, I catch my first glimpse of the drones. They're hovering further up the path, toward the amphitheater. It makes me wonder if they're stuck on a grid somehow and had been unable to follow me into the actual garden. I think about turning back and trying to hide in the garden again just as I rush through the entrance, but I realize immediately that they're too close. Sure enough, I hear a crack behind me just as I turn the corner in the main hall toward Neferu's room. I get a glimpse of it out of the corner of my eye. I'm not sure what I expected their weapon to be. A red laser, an arc of electricity, actual bullets maybe? What I do see is a strange bending of the air in the space I'd just been a second ago. Like looking through a warped piece of glass before suddenly it snaps back into place, making my ears pop and throwing my body sideways. I stumble, but I don't stop. Neferu's room just a few dozen feet ahead of me. Now I can hear the drones. An odd, angry buzzing like wasps. Halt, Marco. I hear Calm's gentle, calm voice, a stark contrast to what he's actually doing right now. It startles me and I put on an extra burst of speed just before I reach Neferu's door. I can only hope that he's there, otherwise I'm going to be cornered. It'll be where I die. With my breath wheezing through my throat, I throw a hand out desperately, pressing it to the black panel on the door. Nothing. It doesn't open. It's locked. I thought doors don't lock here. I see the drones out of the corner of my eye and I pound on the doors as hard as I can, screaming as loud as I can. Neferu! Neferu, help! There's a pause and I hear something to my right that sounds like static, getting louder and louder as I press myself against the door, waiting for whatever it is the blast will do to me. Then I'm falling through space. I'm convinced then that I've died, that this falling sensation is what it's like to die. Will I land on something, or just fall forever? I get my answer almost immediately as I hit the ground face first on the hard marble floor. I'm dazed as there's a sharp crack behind me, and I feel the force of it sending a gust of air over me. Ahotep! Neferu's voice yelps above me, and I hear the sound of the door sliding shut. Come, what is going on? Disengage your door security measures, Neferu. What's happening? I've definitely lost his voice. Whatever. Neferu is crouching over me now, and I think he's talking to me, but Calm answers him instead as the jackal starts to help me to my feet.
The child is to be terminated. Please disengage security to allow drone entry.
What? No! Marco, what's happening? Neferu has pulled me to my feet at this point, looking me right in the eye. I find myself way more out of breath than I thought I was as I try to gasp out an answer. Amicus lost emperorship. Neferu, open the damn door! Kato's voice crackles through the speakers above me, making me jump. It's strained and breathing heavily, and I wonder what he's doing right now. What Amicus is doing. The jackal pushes me back to stand behind him, keeping himself between me and the door. Even though he's got his face set into a stern glare, he's as calm as he always is. Kato, what a pleasant surprise to hear your voice. May I ask why you want entry into my quarters? The Emperor's quarters, you dog. Calm. Override door security.
Overriding security.
There's a hiss and a click from the doors, and suddenly it slides open. Quickly, Neferu backs into me, much like Amicus did earlier this morning, and I find myself pressed back into one of the pillars, the jackal's body almost entirely covering me up. Although I know Amicus is a good deal bigger than Neferu, I'm still struck by the jackal's size now that he's so close to me.
Step aside, Neferu, or risk being shot.
Don't shoot the jackal! Neferu, what are you doing with it? Kato is breathing heavily, and it sounds like he's moving around. Can't see a damn thing! Have you called the ship?
Yes, Your Imperial Majesty.
There's more muffled moving around, and I wonder what Kato's speaking into. Maybe a drone. Neferu, I asked you a question!
Simply protecting a fellow Chemian.
There's a moment of silence. Oh, what?
Chemian.
Neferu enunciates. Oh, I can do that.
Chemian.
Neferu enunciates very slowly, and I look up at the back of his head, just as confused as Kato. Ah! Don't press so damn hard, cat! What do you mean, Neferu? Kato's voice takes on a more growly tone as he turns his attention from whatever he was doing back on us.
I mean that the child has been granted citizenship in the Chemian Kingdom, and it would be unwise to attack him.
Neferu's voice takes on an almost smug tone.
An attack on him would be an attack on us all. Surely you understand this, Emperor?
You lie.
Would you like to test that?
There's a long pause. In the meantime, a low rumbling sound grows, audible not only through the intercom, but through the floor of the palace as well.
The ship is arriving, Your Imperial Majesty.
Yes, I can see that, cat. Neferu. Another long pause. We will discuss this further once I'm back in the palace. I don't know what you and Amicus have planned, but know that I'll be keeping a very close eye on you. That creature is not to leave the palace. The wolf suddenly grunts, and I can hear the voices of other wolves as well. I'm fine. Just get me to the hospital. There are more sounds of movement, grunting, cursing, and voices of concern before the wolf speaks to us again. And remember, you have no way off this moon at the moment. It would be wise to do as I say.
Of course, Your Majesty.
Kato grunts. Calm. Cancel last directive. Execute Marco if he tries to leave the palace.
Yes, Kato. The connection suddenly cuts off, and the two of us are left to stand in silence. Finally, Neferu lets out a long, soft sigh. Damn. The jackal finally takes a few steps forward before turning to face me. Well, this situation is less than ideal. I received news that you somehow rose from the dead last night, and now this. Send us the physician. Even though I've caught my breath at this point, I realize that I'm sweaty and covered in scratches. Cannot comply with directive. Felix is currently in the dungeons. What? Why? Under the orders of the Emperor, Neferu. Damn. This time the jackal says it out of amazement rather than annoyance. Well, send bandages and a salve at least. Yes, Neferu. Marco, what happened? Where's Amicus? After a few more deep breaths, I begin to go over everything that just happened. Starting at the point where we were woken up by Kato and ending where it attacked Cassius and made a run for Neferu's room. I try to keep things vague. Like Kato just decided Amicus was unfit for the job and wanted to illegitimately put Cassius on the throne. But of course, Neferu immediately realizes that I'm leaving things out. Then why does he want you executed? It seems odd he'd suddenly decide to do all of this now. I hesitate, and it's at this moment that the door slides open, causing me to jump and cower as a drone enters. Steady, Marco. It's just the medical supplies I requested. Have a seat on the bed. There are 2 beds, but the jackal gestures at the smaller one. Dumbly, I point this out to him. Why do you have 2 beds? As I sit, Neferu sets the supplies all laid out on a metal tray to the side, uncorking a bottle and dipping a brush into it. He then starts to apply a dark orange liquid to the cuts on my arms and legs. Well, one for the Emperor, and, interestingly enough, this one for the Emperor's pet. Lift your arm. I do as he says, still feeling numb as he starts to coat a rather deep cut on the underside of my arm. Can we go find Amicus? Where is Amicus, Calm? That information is confidential and only accessible by the Emperor, Neferu. I see the jackal's eyes narrow as my stomach twists. What does that mean? Could mean any number of things. I clutch my hands together, feeling my anxiety grow. But is he alright? What if Kato did something to him? Neferu rests upon my shoulder. I understand your worry for Amicus's safety, but also understand that Kato would not even think of taking Amicus's life. Your wolf is likely imprisoned somewhere after what he did. That doesn't make me feel all that much better, but I manage to hold still as the jackal continues to treat me. After a period of silence, though, Neferu sighs. So, at this point it seems we're in a rather precarious situation. I promised Amicus that if something happened to him, I would do everything in my power to keep you safe. Neferu pauses, only continues when I look up to meet his eyes. It would seem that what he worried about has come to pass, and now I must carry out that promise. But to do that, I need you to be honest with me so that I may know exactly what we are dealing with. I gaze at Neferu for a while, wondering how much is at stake right now. The events of the past hour have left me emotionally drained, numb aside from the twisting anxiety of wondering what's happening to Amicus right now. I feel myself deflate. Amicus made first contact with me. Kato found out. I wait for a moment, wondering if the jackal is just going to toss me out into the hall after learning such a terrible secret. But when Neferu doesn't say anything, I look up. I guess I expected to see a look of shock, or even horror on the jackal's face, but it mostly just looks annoyed. You know, I had suspected such a thing considering all of the odd quirks you possess. But I had also thought that even Amicus would not be so foolish enough to do it. I feel myself grow a little defensive. Hey, he didn't know. We'd been contacted by the wolves before, but we lost the history of it somehow. Even so, he should have taken more care. That's in the past now, however. We must focus on the present. Aren't you worried about getting in trouble? Me? Why would I be worried? Isn't unauthorized first contact, like, really, really bad? Well, yes. But I'm not the one that committed the crime. The burden rests on Amicus and on the wolves. I'm merely here to help a sapient that I did not know was an uncontacted alien. Neferu starts to wrap the bandages around the deepest cut on my arm. And how did I become a citizen? I authorized it at the embassy shortly after the deal I made with Amicus. You were never officially his pet, thus never a member of the Empire. We thought it best to simply grant you citizenship in the meantime. You can just do that? Well, yes. I'm the son of the Pharaoh. Don't I have to sign something? Or something? It has been taken care of. How? Again, son of the Pharaoh. I sit in silence for a while, trying to comprehend all of this while still worrying about Amicus. Can we find out where Amicus is? We will shortly. How? Even if it was supposedly a secret, word spreads fast in these halls. Why are you helping me? This is also crazy. I've told you before, Marco. It is the duty of a Chemian to help a sapient in distress. I stare at the jackal. Uh-huh. And why else? Neferu smiles gently at me. Despite our past interactions, I consider Amicus a friend. You are very important to him, and I see it as my duty to keep you safe. And would it be strange that I consider you a friend as well? Friend. Does this have to do with the Alliance? Neferu continues to smile. I suppose there are a few other reasons. Those reasons are pretty easy to figure out. Keeping me protected will keep Amicus happy, and Amicus knowing that Neferu did that will make the Alliance more likely. Assuming we get out of this mess. Obviously, Neferu won't say, but knowing this is most likely the main reason actually makes me feel a bit better. I don't have to worry that the jackal has some other nefarious plan in store for me. Virginia requests access to your quarters, Neferu. Ah, and here might be the answer to your earlier question. Granted, calm. The door slides open, revealing Virginia. She doesn't look happy. Immediately, she stalks into the room, eyes on me, glaring. I wonder what exactly it is she's waiting for, then the door slides shut. What in the name of the Romanus have you done, alien? Neferu chuckles. Easy, Virginia. He's been through quite a lot in the past hour. Easy? Cassius and Kato are in the hospital. Amicus is in the dungeons. Cassius is to become emperor. Our plans are in ruins, Neferu. The wolf folds her arms and walks around slowly so that she can better look at me. What happened? My first instinct is to stay quiet, cross my eyes in that dull, vacant stare and pretend not to understand. But then I realize I don't have to anymore. I'd come to this realization after the second trial, but now that everything has fallen apart, now that I actually have some protection, I find myself bristling at the she-wolf's accusing stare. Kato's a complete monster. He staged the third trial so that Amicus would lose. I used the Nervo on Cassius and should have done the same to Kato, then Amicus ripped off his visor. Virginia gives me a look of surprise, probably not expecting me to be so honest. Or maybe she's just shocked at how brutal things got. She then looks to Neferu, who nods in response. But why? That's when I hesitate again. But again, I feel like it doesn't matter much anymore. Amicus made first contact with my species. What? The wolf looks horrified, bringing a paw to her muzzle. Now, this is the kind of reaction I'd expect. Why would he do such a thing? I don't know. His research on my planet told him otherwise, I think. Virginia just stares at me, then looks away toward the door. Honestly, knowing your brother, it's not all that surprising. I know that my brother is an idiot. I did not know he's a he's psychotic. Now I really bristle. The idiot thing might be kind of true, but talking about Amicus like this after everything that's happened, while he's sitting in the dungeons, wherever those are, it makes me angry. Hey, he had no reason to believe we weren't part of the Galaxias. The library, or archives, or whatever, told him that we were. He just panicked and rushed things when he found out the truth. Neferu and Virginia stare at me, looking unconvinced. I sigh. So, where are the dungeons? Is he okay? Can I see him? Virginia paces around to the side, staring into the fountain. He was stunned by a drone, but was conscious as he was escorted. The dungeons are under the palace, possibly just under our feet. I look down automatically at the marble floor, picturing the wolf sitting down there. Can I see him? Obviously not. Kato has allowed access only for himself. That authority will pass on to Cassius when he becomes emperor. I continue to stare at the floor. I feel better now that I know that he's at least alive, but I want to see him. I need to see him. So what do we do now? I look up to see that Virginia is talking to Neferu. I'm working on it. This will take time to sort out. And it was all going so well. As it often does before it falls apart. What are you talking about? Virginia glances at me in mild surprise, like she forgot I was there. It does not concern you, Marco. You look injured. Why don't you rest? I stand up. Look, I think by now you should know that I'm not some idiot slave for you to order around anymore. It was an act. I understand everything you say, and I know all you have your own little agendas. I see Virginia bristling, but I just don't care anymore. But honestly, I don't really give a fuck what either of you want. I just want to help Amicus. So if that's part of this plan you're talking about, then I want to know about it. The two aliens stare at me. Then Neferu starts laughing, but I cut him off. Stop acting like everything's so fucking amusing to you. This isn't funny. Amicus is in trouble, and even though he put me in this mess, he's the only one I know for sure that gives a damn about what happens to me. Thankfully, the jackal does stop laughing, regarding me with those blue eyes. You're right, Marco. I apologize. I was just not expecting such a powerful retort. I like it. He then turns to Virginia. He's a part of this as much as we are. I believe he should know what we are up to. Virginia sniffs. Granting him Chemian citizenship seems to have bolstered his boldness. I wonder if that was a mistake. It was necessary. Neferu then turns to me. Marco, these plans were meant to be set in motion once Amicus became emperor. We both have interests in Amicus becoming emperor. We did not intend during the trial. We did not interfere during the trials, but we did plan to begin our work when it was all but confirmed he would become emperor. What interests? Well, it may come as no surprise that I wish to have the alliance. Virginia, on the other hand... Neferu glances at her. The wolf barely seems interested and shrugs her shoulders. To be his chief advisor. In the end, we both agreed that Amicus would be best to fulfill both our interests as opposed to Cassius. We simply agreed to help each other accomplish these plans of ours. Interests. I guess that's the appropriate word to describe what most relationships hinge on in this stupid empire. Do you even care that your brother is in the dungeons? I asked Virginia directly, surprising myself. Or do you just care about what interests you? Virginia scoffs at me, and Neferu gives me what I can only imagine is a warning look. I care deeply about many things. What I don't care for is being lectured by an alien who does not understand the meaning of woven legacy. I don't say anything, and Neferu coughs. Anyway, we have plans to work together to see if there might not be a way to redeem Amicus and place him on the throne. Already? Wait, did you already have plans to unseat Cassius if he won? Yes. I shake my head, realizing just how much of a facade this entire empire really is. Well, then I want to help. And what would you be able to do? While I never had a problem with Virginia while I was pretending to be a pet, I find talking with her directly to be rather unpleasant. But I guess it makes sense that she'd be bitter towards me. I'm technically the reason her brother is in the dungeons, and her chance of being advisor is now 0 under Cassius. Virginia may be right, Marco. You're on unstable ground with Kato and Cassius, the two most powerful wolves on the moon. You should probably stay hidden in my quarters for the foreseeable future. I frown. All day? Every day? Yes. I don't like the sound of that at all. Well, you could be useful if the third trial was truly staged. Obviously, your word won't hold much weight, but if we can find footage to go along with it, we might be able to put a dent in Kato and Cassius's image. I look at Virginia, but she's already stalking off toward the door. Unfortunately, I have to attend a meeting in Kato's stead, for obvious reasons. We'll have to discuss all of this in depth later. As she reaches out for the black panel, I suddenly have an idea. Virginia? She doesn't say anything, but her ears perk. Could you talk to Cassius when he's Emperor about letting me see Amicus? I just want to make sure he's okay. There's a short pause as the door opens before I see her nod her head. I'll see what can be done. With that, she steps out and the door closes behind her. I'm left alone with the jackal, my new, well, not master. I guess more of a partner. He smirks at me. Try not to antagonize her too much in the future. She started it. I recognize that. And it was wise of you to put your foot down, not only with her, but with me as well. But she's very, very smart. And it's essential we have her on our side. He's not wrong. I realized just before she left that she's basically my only connection to Kato and Cassius, both of whom I doubt would want to talk to me. Now, the jackal moves to the door himself, calling over his shoulder. Unfortunately, I also must take my leave. I'm going to gather a bit of information from the city. I'll be back toward the end of the day. Again, try to stay inside this room. It's locked to everyone but the Emperor. With that, the jackal leaves the room as well, leaving me alone in the room. I lay back, wondering how things went so wrong so fast. I don't like any of this. And just like my first day on this moon, I feel out of place and completely out of my element. Just wish Amicus were here. I roll over, hugging the pillow as I try to fall asleep. And there we go on another episode. I assume I'm just going to cut out the main sex part and skip over it. And you can read it if you want to read it if you haven't already read it. On your own. But yeah. I'll figure out where exactly to cut that out. And obviously you've already seen where I cut that out. So this is pointless. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you liked it, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!